and that would suggest that they were part of this hoax. And as a result of this, they've been stalked. They had to move 7 times. There was a woman who ultimately was sent to federal prison for issuing death threats against them, and she was instructed that on her release from prison, she can't listen to Alex Jones anymore. So they said that, you know, they resisted suing him for many years, and then back in April of 2017, he reissued these claims, and they decided enough is enough, and he's not going to stop doing this. So they finally filed suit. And in Texas, the defamation law requires you to file within a year. So by remaking or restating some of these claims, he kind of revived their ability to sue him. And that's part of what's at issue here is, has he said enough within the year of the statute of limitations to qualify as defamation?
Here's the takeaway, at least according to me, and you're on the scene. The takeaway is that people follow this guy. I mean, some people in high places follow this guy. When push comes to shove and he's challenged in a courtroom, well, his lawyers say, you really didn't believe that, right? I mean, it's like the equivalent of pro wrestling. It's all BS, something that Jones then has to fight against to keep that audience.
Yeah. And in fact, on this blue screen argument, his lawyer says you can't prove that what he said was defamatory, and even if it was wrong, it was merely, and his audience understands that it's opinion masquerading as fact. That's the term of art. And so he's saying that, take it with a grain of salt, that he's not a journalist. He should not be held to journalistic standards. And the plaintiffs have gone to some length to establish that he makes claims that he is an investigator, that he knows what he's talking about, that his blue screen claim is based on his deep experience in broadcasting, and that there's no reason that a listener should realize that he's not making these claims supported by fact, and that he's, essentially that because of who he is, he's risk-free. He can rant as much as he wants without having to back up his claims.
Thank you, Jonathan. I want his audience to know, to the extent they're paying attention to me here at CNN, that this is all shtick. It's an act, and that's his defense. So don't take it seriously. And what an injustice done to those parents if their case is proven. Thank you for being here.
Thanks a lot.
Let's check in on your tweets and Facebook comments. What do we have? Hey, Smerconish, Alex Jones was an actor when he was getting divorced. Now he's a journalist. We should call him what he is, a vitamin supplement salesman. Seth, you get it. I get it. Most of us get it. But that audience, that hardcore audience that he's attracted at YouTube, they don't get it. And he's trying to have it both ways in court, saying, well, people really don't believe this, do they? And then trying to maintain that audience as a provocateur. It's horrible. I want to remind you to answer today's survey question at Smerconish.com. Should Sarah Jeong's Twitter history have precluded her hire by the New York Times as an editorial board member? Please go vote. Still to come, my next 2 guests are official candidates on the ballot in the Kansas gubernatorial primary this week, but they are not old enough to vote for themselves. I'll talk to them about their political experiences next. A fluke in the state law, several of the candidates aren't even old enough to vote yet. It's quite a crowded field. On the Republican side, the candidates include the current governor, Secretary of State, and state insurance commissioner, a doctor, a businessman, and 17-year-old Tyler Ruzick. On the Democratic side, a former Wichita mayor, a former state senator, a farmer, a family doctor are up against 17-year-old Jack Bergeson. The students have gotten a unique taste of the American electoral process, taking stands on issues, even participating in debates, all before graduating from high school. I wanted to see what they've learned and what they're thinking about the issues. Jack, let me begin with you. You're 17. You can't vote. What should the voting age be? In local elections, there has been a trend across the country to lower the age. What should that number be?
I really believe 16 would be a better number. At 16, most people can drive. You can work a part-time job. You're paying taxes. You're a lot of 16-year-olds are productive members of our society, and I believe they should have the right to say how the government functions. And there are a lot of 16-year-olds who are more politically aware that I know than some people who are much older. I really think it's not necessarily about age as much as it is about political awareness. And with the rise of the internet and such things, it is easier than ever for younger people to know more about politics and to be informed voters. So I believe 16 would be a much better age than 18, as it would get more people involved earlier and it would allow for greater involvement in our democratic system.
Tyler, what's it been like out on the campaign trail? Do people tend to take you seriously, or do they think this is somewhat of a lark?
Oh, well, people definitely take me seriously because I think they see that both on the Republican and Democratic side, I'm the most moderate candidate in this race. I'm really just about dead center, a militant moderate, as I like to refer to myself as. But they do take me seriously, and I've, from the beginning, in a op-ed that I wrote for the Kansas City Star, I had said that it's ideas, not age, that matter in the Kansas governor's race. So I think people are really focusing on my ideas, and I think the voters are behind me. They're really taking me seriously. But of course, the state Republican Party, has really been doing everything they can to suppress my voice by not including me in the state party-sponsored debates.
A centrist, a man after my own heart. Jack Bergeson, medical marijuana. The rules have been relaxed in Kansas. How far should we go? Give me a quick answer.
Well, I believe what we should do with marijuana is we could legalize it. We should legalize it for recreational purposes, do what Colorado and Washington have done. With that, we could use the funds that come from that and fund our crumbling education and infrastructure system. Colorado used it for their education system, and they have seen a boon in funding for their education. We could really use that in Kansas. So not only is it a civil rights issue, it's also an issue about ensuring that we have the funds to properly educate our children.
That sounds pretty liberal, Tyler. Are you prepared to go that far and open the doors on pot?
You know, as I say, it's the theme of my campaign is we have to meet in the middle and we have to focus on where we agree instead of where we disagree, the old principle of President Reagan. What I believe is when it comes to marijuana, I believe on the medical level it should be legalized, but on the recreational level, I think we should work to decriminalization before we go to full legalization. I mean, the stance, the issue in Kansas has many different perspectives. Obviously, Kansas is taking a more conservative look at the issue, and I think, our action on the issue of marijuana should be representative of the people of the state of Kansas, not just following the trends of our great neighbors in Missouri or Colorado.
Jack, what should be the minimum wage? Kansas follows the $7.25 federal minimum wage. Set the number. What should it be?
I definitely believe it should be much higher. 15 would be ideal because that is the minimum someone can work in the United States and work 40 hours a week and not be in poverty. It is a crime that there is someone working 40 hours a week and they still live in poverty. So we should make it so no one does that. But also I believe that is one issue we need to be incremental on. So I believe at first maybe going to 10, 10, or 12 in the very beginning, but the goal should be 15, and I want to make that very clear that we are working so no one has to work 40 hours a week and still be in poverty.
Tyler, what's the number?
I think 725 may be a good baseline for it. I know that many young people are able to start jobs at a little bit of a higher pay than that. But obviously, many minimum wage jobs are low skilled. They don't require a college degree, or it's many a times don't even require a high school diploma. I think there's a reason why it's lower. But I believe that the federal government should get really out of the wage issue, and I think it should be more localized and up to communities, municipalities, and counties to set a better number so they can get, really set a wage that fits the individual economic and fiscal needs of businesses and workers in their communities.
Hey, guys, I think it's great that you're running. I myself ran when I was in my 20s. It didn't work out for me, but it was one of the best experiences of my life. So I salute you both, and thank you for being here.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having us on today.
Yes, thank you.
Jack Bergeson, Tyler Ruzick, on a ticket for all of us at some point in the future, don't you think? With Russia. The combination business vacation trip that I made this week could not have been more timely. With my family, I visited the formerly top-secret Cold War bunker for the entire U.S. Congress in the event of nuclear war with the Soviets. It's buried beneath West Virginia's Greenbrier Resort, a spectacular vacation destination for countless generations of American families and many U.S. presidents. One of them, Dwight Eisenhower, initiated the construction of the bunker at the outset of the Cold War. And for more than 3 decades, it was maintained as an active facility, complete with a regularly rotated food supply